Welcome to Yamiko Podfix. Today I will be reading Hephaestus, chapters 15 through 19, so the last group of chapters. It's written by Electrish_RK. Chapter 15, Wrath of Gods. Do you think our brothers are going to sit around? They'll come for us, and when they do, you're fucked. Katsuki smirked as he finished. We're not afraid of Hephaestus or Prometheus. Shigaraki spat at him. Katsuki was getting under the man's skin, annoying him even if he seemed confident. You should be. Shoto deadpanned. Both hero students knew that their older brothers would stop at nothing until they were safe. They may not be the number 1 or 2 in the rankings, but they sure as hell looked like it in power. If they commanded the other heroes to band together to rescue them both from the LV, then they would. The LV had no idea what was coming their way. They had 2 very pissed off gods wanting their heads. Hawks along with Rumi would work with the 2 of them as well. Endeavor would join to rescue his son, especially with Toya there, and All Might would absolutely try to rescue him. That was 6 of the top 7 ranked heroes. Shigaraki stood no chance. Why should we be afraid? Is it because of the power levels of Hephaestus and Prometheus that you're related to them? Shigaraki was starting a rant. There aren't any reasons that we should fear them. We just walked into their agency and took 2 of their students, not just students, brothers, and we did that and just walked away. So tell me, what part of them should I fear? The anger that something you haven't seen from them yet. A knock at the door interrupted their small conversation. Shoto had stayed quiet for the most part too. Pizza? Katsuki had to suppress a smirk. He spent enough time with the men by now to recognize the deep, rough voice of Prometheus as it filtered through the door. Who was stupid enough to order pizza here? The villain had no time to avoid the huge explosion that blasted the door and wall away as Toya and Izuku entered, All Might close behind as Edge shot flew around the room. Katsuki, we're getting you out of here. Come on, Shoto. Izuku shouted at them. Katsuki didn't need any more prompting than that. He was up. Izuku breaking his cuffs apart with ease and moving on to Shoto next. Kei's outside. Get to him as fast as you can. They were off. They didn't need to get caught up in the raging battle that was undoubtedly going to unfold. The poorly hidden rage in his brother's face had Katsuki on edge. The older blonde was going to snap at the villains. Katsuki could see Hawks standing outside the alley, ready to greet them as they exited. A choking sensation stopped the 2 boys right where they were standing, a gray sludge-like substance expelling itself out of his mouth. Looking towards Shoto, he could see his boyfriend was doing the same thing. The sounds of Hawks shouting was all he could hear before he was teleported somewhere else. Landing hard onto the concrete surface under him, Katsuki was quick to get up and glance around. All of the villains had been taken there. Shoto was here too, but no heroes could be seen around. All Might, Hephaestus, and Prometheus landing in the same place changed that. The force of the air sending rocks flying backwards. It nearly knocked Katsuki clean off his feet. How nice to see you again, All Might. The other 2 have never fought, but I can recognize Hephaestus and Prometheus when I see them. A chill went down the blonde's spine at the voice. He rarely ever got scared by anything. That was a trait he'd pick up from Izuku. But the new villain made him fear for his life, and the lives of 3 heroes standing against him. All for one! We will stop you here! The resulting explosions of fire that shot towards the villain made Katsuki smirk. Those 3 heroes could deal with them. A shot of his name and Shoto's name from above him alerted him towards some of their classmates flying over them. That was their chance to escape. The villain dubbed All for One by All Might, aimed an attack towards their classmates, and the two of them. That's when Katsuki finally saw the full wrath of gods unleash. Izuku and Toya launched at the villain with fire blazing around them uncontrollably. Toya landing a hit to the villain's stomach, a follow-up hit to the face as the two heroes fought so in sync that it would be impossible to not realize they were hero partners. The blazing flames were getting so intense. Katsuki and Shoto were shielding their eyes. The chance of escape passed by when the attack was aimed towards them. Katsuki saw All Might land a harsh punch, the villain rocketing towards the ground. Izuku and Toya walking menacingly closer to the villain, large explosions sparking from Izuku's palms as Toya's blue flames raged even harder. Katsuki was close enough to them to hear the next few words from Izuku and Toya that would stick with him forever. Before you kill me, I don't want to hear your shit. This is what happens when you invoke the wrath of gods, Izuku snarled at the man. Your minions destroyed our agency, attacked our family, our friends, and our students. You're first, but rest assured that your little puppet is coming next. That was the last thing either hero said, before the flames and explosions joined together in the burning villain with all the power they held. Katsuki saw Shoto turn towards Shigaraki, opening his mouth. We told you to be scared. All the voices stopped as Izuku turned towards Shigaraki, Toya standing right at his side. You're next. Chapter 16. Icarus Falls. Keigo didn't really need to be here fighting these bioengineered Nomu. His quirk was extremely unhelpful against power-type fighters. He needed to go after Izuku and Toya. They needed the help more than the heroes in this location needed it. Keigo, go and help the others. We've got control of this, Rumi shouted up at him as he hovered over the battlefield of tired heroes and unwavering waves of Nomu. That was all the prompting he needed, though, before he was bolting further into the sky, over all the buildings in the direction of the massive fight. He would do everything in his power to ensure that Katsuki and Shoto made it back home safely, even if it cost him his life. The wind was harsh, blowing against his face as he flew as fast as he could to reach the sounds of an immense battle up ahead, his body coming into view just over the rooftop of the last building when he saw the carnage that communal ward was turned into. All Might, Izuku, and Toya were standing over the body of another villain Keigo didn't recognize, Shigaraki standing nearby, itching his skin in irritation. If Shigaraki decided to attack, then this could get even worse for everyone. Shoto and Katsuki were there, too, which was both good and bad. It gave Keigo a chance to save them, but it meant there was a good chance of Shigaraki targeting them first. His train of thought was interrupted as the seemingly charred corpse that the three heroes had been standing over moved, appendages exiting from the fingers, impaling through the torso of All Might, but somehow narrowly avoiding Izuku and Toya. Hephaestus! Prometheus! What do you need me to do? Keigo shouted down to his two friends. These were the two men that he would willingly do anything for. He loved them, even if they didn't feel the same way towards him. Take care of the rest of the league. Stop them from attacking Katsuki and Shoto, Toya yelled back at him. Prometheus, take care of Shigaraki for me. Keigo could hear Izuku whisper to Toya. He better not be thinking about what Keigo thinks he might be doing. Keigo didn't really have much more time to think about that, landing down in front of the two hero students. That was the last showdown between heroes and villains. Whoever came out on top would be remembered forever, and Keigo could only hope that it would be them. Already ducking and dodging attacks from his right side as the blonde girl threw knives at him proved more of a challenge than he would have liked. Knives, marbles, and doubles coming his direction were causing him to start feeling the exhaustion. A large explosion over his shoulder, followed by ice passing his other side, were a saving grace. The brothers of his friends had dug him out of a hole, like the older versions had done so many years earlier. Yeah, you fuckers want to attack my brother so that the people he loves, including us. Yeah, you fuckers want to attack my brother and the people he loves, including us. Get ready to be obliterated. Katsuki was grinning like a maniac from behind. Keigo only took a quick side glance to the boy. That's right, you fuckers. Shoto's slightly confused tone almost made Keigo laugh. The snort Katsuki let out was an indication to how he felt. Keigo dodged a victorious kick aimed towards his head from the girl. Katsuki, blasting another round of marbles, aimed his direction, while Shoto sent rings of ice and fire around the three of them to keep the waves of doubles from overwhelming the three of them. The exhaustion was catching up to them now. The league members weren't faring much better. Now, either a well-placed mini-explosion knocked the magician out cold, one less pain in the ass to deal with. Shoto was managing to finally force the villain, making all the doubles into surrendering him. It was finally over. He could help Toya and Izuku fight. At least he believed he could, until a knife was driven as hard as possible into his back. Shit. Swinging his elbow backwards, he must have collided with the girl's face, her body dropping like a ton of bricks. Keigo's vision was swimming now. He felt far too hot for what the weather outside truly, and like the slow numbness overtaking his body was alarming, but oddly comforting. He'd already made his peace with giving his life to protect Katsuki and Shoto, to do everything to help the two heroes that meant so much to him. If this was how he was going to die, he found that he really didn't mind. Chapter 17. Prometheus Burns. Toya didn't want to leave Izuku to fight that villain. The boogeyman of the other world wasn't going to go... Toya didn't want to leave Izuku to fight that villain. The boogeyman of the underworld wasn't going to go down easy, and Izuku was his boyfriend. He was right to be extremely worried for him. Toya, please, go deal with Shigaraki. Toya could still feel himself hesitating. His legs weren't listening to what his brain was saying. He was finally able to tear his eyes away from the impending standoff. All Might had been taken out of the fight earlier. The other members of the League around Shigaraki were fighting with Keigo. If I see Hephaestus has sent a second-rate hero to fight me, I guess you'll have to do. Shigaraki scratched at his neck as he finished. I have a hand in beating you once. I'll do it again right here. Daddy can't help you now. Toya smirked at the screech of rage the villain let out as Shigaraki charged towards him. This was going to be fun. In the back of his mind, he only hoped that Izuku would be alright. He parried a palm aim towards his arm, with his forearm knocking Shigaraki back, lighting his own hands ablaze with blue flames. You can't stop our plans here, Shigaraki seethed in his direction. My father's endeavor. If you think I know anything about giving up, then you'd be wrong. Shigaraki was decaying the ground this time, causing Toya to need to jump into the air to be able to avoid its effects along the ground, sending a revolving blast of flames at the villain to make him cease the decaying. This felt more like a stalemate. Shigaraki could attack from a distance, as could he, but nothing would end until he managed to get closer. Toya planted his feet as firmly onto the ground as he could, lighting the flames once more and launching himself towards Shigaraki. A flame-covered palm striking Shigaraki's shoulder, leg hitting the back of his knee, forcing him down onto one leg before the villain was grasping onto his ankle, with a hand decaying a bit of the skin and muscle away from him. That was going to make his life far more difficult, putting pleasure on his leg getting much harder. He started pushing his quirk even harder, the flames burning hotter as he started licking, biting, and burning at his own skin. The cooling system inside the hero costume that Izuku got made for him on his birthday one year was starting to fail, the heat becoming too much for it to cool him properly. He was just like his father in the overheating department. The blue flames were glowing brighter as he fought back harder against Shigaraki, a blast of flames torching the left side of Shigaraki's body, almost rendering it useless. The hand still had 5 points to cause decay, being his main cause for concern. It seemed Shigaraki was picking up on the dirty tricks now, trying to do everything he could to win the battle. He was decaying the ground slightly, using small rocks to power towards Toya with incredible accuracy, forcing him into moving his position to not get hit by the stray rocks. He was starting to think that he was going to be forced into playing his trump card as the constant stalemate kept coming back. They had done some incredible damage to each other. Muscles and skin decayed all over Toya. The charred parts of Shigaraki's body obvious to everyone. A media helicopter had started hovering over the wrecked area at some point. Toya really hadn't paid any attention to it until the latest stop in their battle. Toya took a quick glance toward Keigo. The winged hero was down with a knife sticking out of his back as blood pooled around his fallen body slowly. Toya couldn't help but think that if the hero wasn't in such a rush to get them, then their Icarus wouldn't have been in his currently fallen state. The distraction was all Shigaraki needed to speed towards him, still working arm around his shoulders, feeling the decay working its way into his body. Now, it was now or never. He had to do it for Izuku, for Keigo, for all his students, Katsuki, Shoto, and the public eyes. His flames exploded in their intensity, the heat fully malfunctioning his suit's cooling system, the flames scarring his already scarred skin. The Whitehead was ready, and this was going to be the greatest death he could ask for, if this was how he went out. Building up all the power he could, he decided this was going to be the perfect opportunity to use a special move his father had taught him all of those years ago. Prominence, burn! All went black. Hawks and Prometheus had done their parts. It was down to Hephaestus to end it all now. What an end it would be. Chapter 18. Hephaestus' Last Stand. Izuku was staring down the worst villain in the history of Japan, maybe even the world. Everyone had heard of All for One as the boogeyman of the underworld. The man should be dead if the information Izuku knew about him from the fight against All Might was to go by. Keigo had successfully saved Katsuki and Shoto. The medics were tending to him right now, police arresting the knocked out villains by the feet of his brother and Shoto. Izuku would make sure to follow his gratitude to Kei for jumping into a fight to willingly save Kat and Shoto. Toya had also managed to take out Shigaraki. Izuku had heard his loud shout of prominence burn. Toya really had to be backed into a corner to use that special move, and it wasn't filling Izuku's with hope that his boyfriend would survive. He just had to hold on to hope that the medics would be able to save him in time. they still needed to confess to Keigo properly. That was a thought for a different time, as All for One got back onto his feet unsteadily in front of him. Regeneration quirks already starting to do their work. That was a nice try, Hephaestus, but it seems that both your allies are no longer able to provide support. All Might is already out of action, too. Izuku had to grit his teeth to avoid launching himself towards All for One as soon as he finished talking. This man and his apprentice were the reason that All Might was in the condition he was, and why Keigo and Toya resorted to self-sacrificial moves. The anger in his heart towards the man floating close to him had increased tenfold. Explosions were lighting up in his palms, the signature Bakugou grin stretching across his face. I won't need their help. I'll defeat you myself. The sounds of fighting were loud in the crater where Kamino Ward used to be. Izuku was going to destroy All for One if it was the last thing he ever did. The man needed to die. Japan would never be safe if he was still out there somewhere, waiting in the shadows to return again. The world would undoubtedly get more villains who would become the world's worst, but none would pose the threat that All for One could. Izuku needed to win here, and he swore to himself that he would claim the victory here. The two men were going blow for blow. Air was getting blasted out of them in huge waves, as the pressure of their blows almost forced nature to blend their own whims instead of the other way around. Izuku almost did wonder if he really could do any damage to the villain with the regeneration quirks he already had. He couldn't think about that, though. He had to believe that what it took to take him down. He had to believe that he had what it took to take him down. All for One was calling on more of his stored quirks. Bone spears. That was the latest one Izuku had been forced to dodge. His explosions sending fragments of bone flying in every direction. The explosions were doing some damage to the breathing mechanism that his adversary was wearing. Izuku knew that was the key to his victory here. Summoning one of the biggest explosions he'd ever done in the lifetime of using his quirk, he aimed it towards All for One. Letting it fire off, his wrist protested the action adamantly. The backlash wasn't kind to him, but he had to push through the pain. Everyone was counting on him here. The futures of everyone relied on the fact that All for One did not win this fight. Come on, Izuku! That was a welcome boost to his morale. His efforts redoubling as a shout from Katsuki reached his ears. Explosions crackled and popped in his hands. Something visual, doing some visual damage to the villain, and Izuku could feel the end of this fight coming. A quirk for All for One stabbed clean through his shoulder, leg, and stomach, but he wouldn't let that stop him. Even as he felt the blood trooping past his lips from the injuries he'd received, Toya and Keigo had given it their all to make this a 1 in a million chance for him to kill All for One for good. Something not even All Might could ever do. Was it actually possible? Izuku wasn't entirely sure about the answer to that question. He would have his answer coming soon enough anyway. He felt his next massive explosion building in his palm as his fist collided with the cheek of the featureless face of All for One. As they rocketed towards the concrete, the explosion went off fully in his closed fist, sending them in a faster freefall towards the ground. A sickening crunch, followed by a loud splattering sound, filtered through to Izuku's ears, as he faintly felt liquid and some other substance hitting his face. Numbness was starting to work through its way through his face, through his body, as the adrenaline from his fight wore off, leaving only the pain behind. Izuku managed the strength to pull his head up to see the corpse of All For One laying motionless on the ground. There was blood, bone fragments, and brain matter everywhere as Izuku observed the man's crushed, caved-in skull. That must have been what he felt hitting him earlier. There were black spots etching into the periphery of his vision, his breaths coming out uneven and staccato like in nature. He barely registered getting to his feet before he was walking slowly, stumbling on his way in the direction he knew Toya and Keiko must be in. His knees buckling a short while into the movements, only just managing to realize that someone had caught him when the bulk of muscle entered into his fading sight. Hang on. Hospital. Toya, Keiko. That was the only parts of whatever this person was saying to him that he managed to pick up on, his world fading into a perfect and silent blackness. Hephaestus had made his last stand against All For One and came out victorious. Prometheus and Hawks played their parts in the victory too. It would remain to be seen if the three heroes would make it out alive. A collective nation held its breath. The awaited outcome would be revealed soon enough to them. Whatever it was, one thing had been made abundantly clear. Hephaestus, Prometheus, and Hawks will live on the memories of Japan for the rest of eternity. A legacy unforgotten. The reign of terror from the greatest villain ever to live was finally over. A new age was dawning. Chapter 19. A new age of dawns. 5 years later. By some miracle, Izuku, Toya, and Keiko had all come out of the final battle alive. Scars adorned their bodies, but Katsuki was just glad his brother had survived. Izuku alongside Toya had finally confessed to Keiko, all three of them now 29, almost 23, heading towards the day that they would finally get married. They all had decided to take the Bakugou name. Izuku Bakugou was named the new number 1 hero of the year after the huge battle of Kamino Ward. Toya Bakugou, as he would be known, became number 3, and Keigo Bakugou moved to number 2. It seemed, however, that they were moving towards retirement or full-time teaching at UA within the near future. Katsuki had also been engaged to Hitoshi and Shoto. They, along with the rest of Class 1A, had joined the rebuilt Olympus agency. It looked like Izuku, Keigo, and Toya had inspired a lot of their former students to join under the name of their agency. Mirko was still going strong. She wasn't looking likely to join her friends in their full-time teaching jobs, but Katsuki was sure he'd be seeing a lot of the women with his brother. He was being prepared to take full control over the largest agency in Japan. He didn't feel ready to have that on his shoulders just yet at 22. Now, how Izuku managed it, he would never know. At least when the time did come, Hitoshi and Shoto would be there to support him like Toya and Keigo did for Izuku. The rest of his friends being part of the agency also filled him with some more confidence. Olympus had only grown larger since the rebuild. The new areas and training facilities added onto it, huge accommodation buildings attached to it on either side. The agency had to become its own self-dependent mini metropolis under the care of Izuku, Toya, Keigo, and Rumi. Katsuki definitely wasn't ready to take control of something like that just yet. He thought back to the day Izuku broke the news to him. The blonde was walking into Olympus for the first time as an official agency member. It was a strange feeling, if he was honest. He'd spent the last 4 years of his life coming and going from his agency like he already belonged there. He did already belong there. You're kidding me? I'm going to have to put up with you for 3 years the rest of my time. I'm going to have to put up with you for the rest of my time as a UA teacher. The tired drawl reached his ears. That sounded like Aizawa. What was he talking about when he said to put up with the rest of his teaching career? You want us, Shota. You wouldn't be asking for better colleagues. Keigo's voice was light and joking. As long as you don't sneak off into an empty classroom during school hours. Have you done that enough with Hisashi to know when you can get away with it? Katsuki did have to hold in a laugh at that. He could imagine the expressions of his old homeroom teacher's face, announcing his presence when he walked around the corner. Kat, perfect timing. I have something to talk to you about. Well, I guess we do. Katsuki was very interested in whatever they needed to talk to him about. Following him into the spacious office Izuku, Toy, and Keigo occupied. So, the three of us are thinking of becoming full-time teachers at UA. That had Katsuki screeching to a halt. The three of the nation's greatest heroes were going to be effectively retiring. I'm going to start preparing you to take over my position as the leading hero at Olympus. Hitoshi and Izuku can always help you. Your classmates also join our agency, so they would be here to lend any support to you should you need it. You want me to take over from you at the agency? Katsuki choked out. He could feel the emotion bubbling up from inside him. You're my brother, Kat. Of course I'd choose you. Katsuki turned to his two fiancés behind him, the rest of Class 1A not far away from him either. It was thanks to Izuku and Toya that they had ever developed as much as they had, due to their heroics classes in the first year of UA, and the subsequent years afterwards when Keigo had also joined them. No matter when or where, the three heroes decided to hang up the boots of heroics for good. The nation and world would celebrate their legacy for years to come. Katsuki was incredibly grateful to be able to call Izuku his brother, his idol, his hero and inspiration. Izuku was everything that Katsuki hoped he could be. Although his brother may disagree, he knew that there was no living up to the same Hephaestus. He didn't care about that. Izuku deserved the credit for everything he and his almost husbands had done. Taking one last glance around the room, seeing everyone together in this large lobby area of Olympus was making his emotions flare up again. His fiancée standing close to him, his classmates and friends chatting idly amongst each other. Izuku was talking to Keigo and Toya. Aizawa was standing nearby listening. He could see his parents over in a corner with coffee, laughing together. Almost his entire family was here. The scene he was witnessing made his resolve that much firmer that they were the new age. Whenever he was finally ready to step up and assume control over Olympus, that this generation would be able to keep the new era of peace that Izuku, Toya, and Keigo had created for them all. A new age had dawned. That is Hephaestus, chapters 15 through 19. I just want to say I'm sorry for taking such a long break. Yeah, I completely forgot I had a channel for a bit. But it's okay, because I'm back now, and it's really late. I was going to record yesterday, but I got, really tired. So I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, my voice hurts a lot right now. I'm using different headphones today because my other ones died that I usually use for recording. So let me know if the audio sounds a bit different or if it sounds worse or anything. And remember to give me constructive criticism. I'm very much new to the whole podficking thing. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, just my throat hurts. It's a lot of up and downs, especially with that big storm that happened over here. Yeah, there's a lot of flooding and stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. So I hope you guys have a good day or night or evening or wherever you are. Just have a good time. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. And before I forget, please recommend me some new fics to read. I think I'm running out. Yeah, okay, bye-bye.